Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and we are looking at in this episode the Moritaka Aogami Super Bunka 170mm knife. Moritaka's line of knives in this AS line, the AS means Aogami Super, sometimes known as Blue Paper Super. It is a reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi. It is frequently treated to a pretty high rating, and this one is no exception. They treat theirs pretty hard at about a 64 to 65 Rockwell. The construction is a reactive soft iron cladding on either side of that core Aogami Super steel for a 3-layer sandwich, and they coat that with a blacksmith finish known as a Kudauchi finish. Moritaka, one of their trademarks is also they weld a steel tang onto the knife, and that goes into the handle, and that helps resist corrosion for longer life. It's always a good idea to seal these up to keep moisture from getting in there with some beeswax or some kind of sealer or something, but the steel tang, stainless steel tangs are a really nice touch from them. So that's one of the things they do. This knife is, again, all reactive, so there's no stainless on it except for the tang, of course. The weight is very, very light, 114 grams, 4.0 ounces on this sample. These will vary just a little bit in dimensions and weights and thickness and so on because they're hand-hammered. The edge length on this one was right about 170 on the nose from the tip to the back of the blade, known as the chin, and 6.7 inches, and the overall length was a little over 12 inches, about 12.3. The spine thickness, again, will vary. This one coming out of the handle above the back of the blade, the chin area, is about a little over 3 millimeters, and then it thins down pretty quickly to 2-ish. And then with these style of blades, these bunkas, they have kind of a reverse sword tip, so they have a corner turn. You still maintain that same thickness, and then it thins out with the grind. And this baby gets really thin right at the tip, and it works great through soft product. It's excellent tip. The blade height is not real tall on these. It's about 42.3 on this sample at the heel from the edge to the spine. I'll get to that more in a second. The handle, they just have, they've switched handles a few times over the years, but the current setup on their handles is octagonal, ambidextrous, hoe wood, just basic wood with a buffalo horn ferrule. You've got a little bit of a step between the wood and the ferrule. You could sand that down if you wanted to, but I don't think you'd find it bothersome. The circumference on these is about 72 millimeters, right here where the wood meets the ferrule, and about 2.8 inches. And it fits the knife really well as far as the sizing goes. These are not stabilized handles or anything, so you do need to probably coat that with some mineral oil or maybe some tung oil or something if you want to seal it up a little bit so it doesn't get stained or odors on it. The blade height, as I mentioned, is kind of short, but I really didn't have a problem. Here's my standard pinch grip, and you've got pretty much clearance for the board. I really didn't think about it. If you've got really big fingers, you may have to think about that a little bit. So this is not a tall bunka by any means. They label it on the box, actually, a Kiritsuke. So it's kind of a hybrid bunka, Kiritsuke, and Kiritsukes are generally a little shorter, and they're also flatter on the profile, and the tips are generally lower, and that is the case with this one. We'll talk about this one. Is this a rocker? No, no, no. It is not a rocker. We'll show you that. So let's take a close-up look at the blade since we're finished with the stats. Here is the close-up. So you've got a fairly smooth finish on it, and you've got some embossed kanji and stuff on the left side of the knife for their symbol. The core steel is showing through. The cladding line is higher than this. This is simply where they put a food-safe lacquer on these blades as well as the Kudauchi finish. So I'm just letting the lacquer wear away normally. You could also use some acetone, nail polish remover if you wanted to clean it off. Some people like to do that. I'm just leaving it ride. So the cladding layer is a little higher. You can kind of see that right there. Get it a little closer. So there's the cladding layer. So I don't think the cladding is going all the way to the edge. It's not. That's just where the, there you can go. That's a pretty good shot of the cladding. But take a look at that tip. This tip is skinny. And here is the grind. This has a really cool grind. It has a fairly small primary bevel, and you can see how flat this thing is. And there's even a little bit of concave to the hammering on it, so the food release on this blade is absolutely excellent. It's just top-notch food release. You can get a little bit of wedging through some ingredients, like some harder product and stuff, but it's not bad. But that's kind of the design compromise you get on a knife like this, but food release is absolutely outstanding, and this thing is just a little beast. It's awesome. Fit and finish is nicely done. There's no sharp edges anywhere. Out of the box edge, I'll give it maybe a 6 out of 10. I went ahead and sharpened it, and their steel is just great. It sharpens up excellently, holds a great edge. High hardness with the edge retention is excellent. It's just a really nice knife. Here's your handle install. So let's take a look at it on our cutting board. Oh, and I've got to grab that. Hang on a second. I'm going to pause this video because my cutting board's way over here. Rearrange my basement. This is where I do these. So let's... All right, so here we are back again. So here is the knife on a cutting board. And if you look, it is flat, flat, flat. In fact, I'm digging in the tip right there. So do you rock this? No, you don't. You can go over some very short stuff like chives, maybe green onions, but you are not going to rock this knife. That's not what this knife is all about. So it's very flat. The tip is very, very low, and what it's awesome for is draw cut. So if you want to draw cut stuff, you know, peppers and various things, draw cutting is fabulous on this thing because you barely have to lift the front, or excuse me, the handle, and bam, you got a draw cut. So it's awesome for draw cuts. But as you can see, it's just really flat. So if you like to rock, do not get this knife. It is not the one you want. But just a beautifully made knife, great performer, excellent edge retention. Not for everybody. That tip kind of sticks way out there and you really got to mind the tip because you can ding it if you not watch it. But just a great knife, light, nimble, really good through a lot of product, just an excellent knife. So there you have the Moritaka Aogami Super Bunka 170mm knife.